Yo, 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 what is going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. In this video, we're going to be going over the top 10 best killer perks in the game. The order of this list is pretty subjective, but most of the perks on here are the perks you're going to want to get on your killers. So anyway, if you guys do enjoy this video and want to see more like this, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. We are almost to 70,000 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. Also, I stream on Twitch every Tuesday, so feel free to come say hi. And yeah, let's get right into the video. Coming into the 10th place spot is Discord. When two survivors are working on a generator together, discordance will activate and it'll show you where the survivors are. It's also very good on killers who need people together so that they can find more people, such as like Oni or Blight or Myers or anything like that. Pretty much anyone with infectious fright. Discordance is also very good just to see kind of what gens people are working on and where people are in the map so you can make decisions according to that. The 9th place spot is going to barbecue and chili. So honestly, the effect of barbecue and chili isn't all that amazing, which is why it's super low on this list, but it still is one of the most useful information perks in the game. I honestly think the double blood points is way better than the actual effect. Whenever you hook a survivor, barbecue and chili activates and it shows you the aura of all other survivors on the map as long as they're out of a certain radius from you. So this is super good to see where to go next, but it can also be completely useless, which is why it's this low on the list. There's a ton of different ways to counter barbecue, whether that be if someone has a perk or if someone hops into a locker or if someone is just too close to you. So sometimes barbecue can literally give you no information at all, but it still is super useful, especially on really fast killers like Blight or Billy, just to see where to go next. Coming into the 8th spot, we have Infectious Fright. A lot of people wouldn't actually put this perk in the top 10, but I think it's one of the most helpful perks if you're completely losing a game. What Infectious does is allows you to slug properly. On killers that can down people really fast, Infectious is insanely good. So like Nurse or like Billy or any of that. It allows you to take advantage and capitalize off of survivor mistakes. I have plenty of moments where I'm playing Nurse and it's just going absolutely horribly, but then I capitalize off of survivor mistakes because they get too cocky, and then I'm able to slug them and turn it into a 2 kill or a 3 kill or maybe even a 4K. Infectious is also pretty much a necessity on killers with a power that's limited use, so like Plague or like Oni or like Myers. Infectious is probably one of their best perks. All right, the next perk is going to Sloppy Butcher. This is probably going to be a really controversial placement because it's not like all that amazing, it's just really consistent. Sloppy Butcher slows down healing speeds for anybody that you hit with your basic attack, and most killers do actually hit people with their basic attacks, so it'll almost always activate, and it basically just gives you more time to actually pressure gens. Sloppy Butcher is also a really good perk paired with Nurses because it gives you more opportunities to actually see where people are healing. I just think it's one of the best, most basic perks in this game. The 6th place spot is going to Tinkerer. Tinkerer was buffed maybe like 6 months ago, and it became one of the strongest perks in this game. It also became one of the most annoying perks in this game. When a gen reaches 75%, you are given a noise notification on that gen, and you become undetectable for 16 seconds. So basically, if you're fast, Blight, and you're able to get people off gens really fast, Blight, then they literally cannot finish gens. Like, they literally can't. Tinkerer is really good on those high mobility killers, except it can also be very bad on low mobility killers, so that is why it's kind of lower on the list. A lot of these perks can pretty much be in any order. It really just depends on what killer you're playing. Like if you're playing Myers with Tinkerer, that's not going to be very good because there'll be a gen that'll get Tinkered like really far away from you, and you're going to have to walk all the way over there. And then by the time you get there, they're going to pop it anyway. But on fast killers like Spirit or Billy or Blight, those can completely take advantage of it. And this perk is just so good with Ruin because it gets people off of gens. This is by far the best information perk in the game. Coming into the 5th spot is Pop Goes the Weasel. This is one of the meta gen slowdown perks. After hooking someone, Pop activates for 45 seconds, and the next gen you kick, as long as it's in those 45 seconds, will regress by, I believe it's 25%. This is so good. If you're able to get downs very quickly, you're able to get so much slowdown on gens. One thing I really like about this perk is it rewards playing well. So if you are actually able to play well and get downs, then you're going to have a ton of gen slowdown. But it also can work against you because if you're not able to get downs, then you're basically never going to be using this perk. But it's so satisfying to have a gen that's like 99% and to be able to pop it, because that loses literally so much progress. A lot of people have been starting to run Ruin Pop as well, because if Ruin stays up for most of the game and then gets cleansed, then you still have Pop as a backup, and it's extremely annoying from the survivor's perspective. All right, coming into the 4th place spot is Hex Undying. So by itself, Hex Undying literally does nothing, but when you pair it with a Hex perk, it basically gives the Hex perk an extra life. The original version of this perk was so god-awfully stupid. I can't even believe that they even implemented it. They basically made it so that, like, for example, if you had Ruin and Undying together, there would be one lit Ruin totem and one lit Undying totem. If the survivor cleansed Ruin, the Ruin would move to a different dull totem. And then if they cleansed Ruin again, it would move to another dull totem. So you basically had a 50-50 chance of actually getting rid of Undying. So Ruin could have pretty much 4 to 5 lives. It was horrible. It was the worst thing I have ever experienced. But now it's just 1 life. So basically, if you have Ruin Undying, it spawns in Ruin and Undying. And then once either of them are cleansed, it just gets rid of Undying, and then you're only left with Ruin. So you basically have 2 lives for any Hex perk. But because of this nerf, they also buffed it to make it not lose stacks if you cleanse their Undying, which ties into the 3rd place spot, which is Hex Devour Hope. Devour Hope is like mid-game Noed, but you actually earn it. Although I do think this perk is a little bit cheesy, I do really like the design of it because it's promoting playing actually kind of fair. You don't get any good benefits until you reach 3 stacks, and the Hex totem is lit since the beginning of the game, so it gives survivors plenty of time to run into it. And it also has a ton of prerequisites before you even get stacks. You have to hook someone, and then they have to be unhooked while you're far enough away from them. So it's basically promoting not camping, which is great. Bubba mains should start using this perk. But then once you get 3 stacks, everybody becomes insta-kill, and it completely changes the game. Because now survivors have to drop everything that they're doing and go look for the Hex totem. And if you pair that with Hex Undying, then they have to look for 2 Hex totems. And on maps like RPD, that god-awful trash can of a map, you are literally never gonna find Devour Hope. It's basically a free win for you. Devour Hope is so good. It's actually such a good perk. And then once you get to 5 stacks, you can start mooring people, and it's just really cool. Before getting into the last 2 spots, I do have 3 honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about. And these are perks that are very good, but they're only good on like a couple killers. The first one is Monitor and Abuse. This basically just reduces your tear radius. So on killers that already have a low tear radius, such as Deathslinger or Trickster or Spirit, this is very good because it lets you sneak up on people really easily. Like on Deathslinger with Monitor, you can literally shoot someone and spear them before they can even hear your tear radius. It is insane, which is why Deathslinger is so annoying. It's also a really good perk paired with Infectious Fright because when you're in chase, your tear radius actually gets bigger than normal. So then when you down someone, you have extra space for Infectious to proc. The next honorable mention spot is going to Save the Best for Last. Save the Best for Last is the one good perk that Michael Myers has, and it's not even that amazing. Every time you hit a non-obsession with your basic attack, it gives you a stack, and each stack is a 5% reduced cooldown to like wiping your weapon after you hit someone. So once you're at 8 stacks, you are an absolute god. They literally get no distance, but if you do hit your obsession, you lose stacks. So you basically have someone that you can never hit if you're just an M1 killer. However, this perk is really good on killers that can use their M2 a lot, like Demogorgon or Trickster or Huntress. If you're able to use your M2 really easily, then you can save stacks when you're trying to hit the obsession. And then you have 8 stacks of Save the Best for Last all game, and it's amazing. And then the last honorable mention spot is going to Nurse's Calling. Nurses allows you to see survivors that are healing within a certain radius, and this is super strong on killers that can basically hit through walls, so like Nurse or Pyramid Head, and it's also really good on ranged killers like Huntress and Deathslinger as well. The one problem with Nurse's Calling is that survivors generally will not be healing near you anyway, so sometimes this perk can be completely useless. However, if you're running like Monitor and Abuse and then Sloppy Butcher, Nurses will come in clutch so much more than you actually realize. All right, we are back onto the regular list. The second place spot is going to Corrupt Intervention. This is the perk that blocks the 3 furthest gens from you for 180 seconds. 3 minutes, unless I'm remembering wrong, but 3 minutes of the survivors all being on one half of the map can completely get you a head start. Corrupt Intervention is such a good slowdown perk because if you think about it, survivors tend to spawn really far from you anyway, so usually they're going to spawn with the corrupted gens, so they have to now come to you. It just gives you more time to like set up and be ready. So it's really good on killers that have setup involved, such as Trapper or Hag or Myers or any of those. If you spawn in the middle of a map, then Corrupt Intervention can kind of be all over the place and then it won't really do much for you, but those are really rare instances. And finally, the best killer perk in Dead by Daylight, and this is very obvious, it's Hex Ruin. Ruin is so strong. It's so strong. Actually, let me reiterate. Ruin is really strong when other killers are using it, but when I'm using it, Ruin is terrible. I've had a streamer who I was playing against who literally could see the totem off of spawn. Ruin is basically an automatic regression to gens, and it's at twice the speed as well. So if a survivor gets off of the gen, then it starts regressing. It's one of the most annoying perks to deal with as a survivor because you do have to go out and seek it, or you can just push through it. But if it's a blight, you're never going to be able to finish gens. Ruin is literally good on every single killer. Every single killer. It's better on killers that can get people off of gens quickly, but it's still good on really slow killers as well. And on top of that, you can pair it with Undying and give it an extra life. So on some maps, we won't mention any names, totems are extremely hard to find to begin with. And then if you have Undying, then the survivors have to spend another 30 minutes trying to find your other hex totem. It's literally so good. And on top of that, people will pair Ruin and Undying with Pop Goes the Weasel and have a backup plan in case both Ruin and Undying get cleansed early on. This meta is pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie. And hopefully they do something about it in the future, but knowing behavior, nothing's gonna change. Some people prefer Pop over Ruin, except Ruin is just objectively better. It is very inconsistent though, which is why a lot of people actually prefer Pop, because Pop is completely consistent and it's based on your skill. But the effect of Ruin causes so much slowdown, it's insane. If you guys agree or disagree with my list, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And if you like this video and want me to do more like these, go ahead and go drop a like and subscribe if you're new. If you want to become a member to support me so I can make more content like this, feel free to go down in the description and there will be a link there for you to join. Anyway, that's about all I have for you today, so I will see you all in the next one. Peace!